From new inescapable prisons to easily smuggling effects after death, it turns out that the infinite effects and survival glitch is way crazier than I ever thought. Hello there, Ray here, and after making this video about the glitch, I then live streamed on Twitch finding crazier uses. So as a refresher, if you align any mob or player, and then have stronger potions as well as weaker potions that are set up just like this, when you activate the system, it will give the creeper both these effects, but when normally the effects would vanish, the mob will actually get the effect for infinite duration. Then we can take this one special creeper that has the effects and we can actually multiply it and place it onto other creepers as well as a player. This is done using a trick that I showed way back in the day and actually made a video showing how powerful this can actually be. But now with the infinite effects, it's even more powerful. So let's go ahead and just demonstrate this. Currently this creeper has effects and the other two don't, and I don't also have any effects. But if I go ahead and light this creeper with the effect on it, when it dies, it's going to produce this area effect cloud. And anything that's inside of that will then get the effects from the creeper. So in this case, the effects from the creeper were regen as well as resistance 3. But the duration of the effect is also kept. So because the creeper was an infinite effect, it also gave me infinite effect. And if we look at the two creepers over here, both of them also got infinite effects. We would just store these creepers inside of minecarts so they can never despawn. And then if we would happen to die and lose our effect, then we can just come over here and repeat the process. Now speaking of ways you can lose these effects, besides dying, you can also lose them by drinking milk, going through the exit end portal, which is actually marked as an important bug to be fixed, but has been in the game since 2013. But mobs going through the same portal don't lose their effect. Having a totem of undying also break will cause all the effects to be removed, but by using the stored creeper trick, we can get most of them back. I'll talk about which ones we can't get back in a little bit. On the topic of losing effects, SuperNate found out that you can actually remove the slowness effect from the Turtle Master if you drop the slowness before you get the infinite slowness as well as resistance. Now I did see a comment saying that you guys could just drink honey in order to remove the negative effects. This only works on poison and not slowness. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. We got a slowness potion there. We got the two stronger Turtle Masters there and the longer, weaker Turtle Master. And we'll clear our effects. If we push the button and look at it, we can see that when we get the last slowness, it actually removes the slowness and we end up getting resistance 3 without the annoying slowness and poor FOV. Using resistance 3 and regen, I made this new inescapable prison. First, use a trick I discovered where you can place armor onto villagers in this video here. That makes them extra strong, and then you can come in and give them the infinite effects of both resistance 3 as well as regen. Then if you fell in with these guys, it's kind of like a prison, because if you're inside the villager's hitbox, you can't actually break any blocks, because this end up hitting the villager, and you can't actually right click to place on lava to even kill you, or to use any like chorus fruit or potions or anything else that could help you. The only way out is if you could actually kill this villager. Now even though the armor on the villager doesn't show up, it's still on there and it doesn't actually take any durability unless it has thorns on it. Let's see what happens if we would have a sharpness 5 netherite sword on us. It also has fire aspect. Over time we are slowly lowering the villager's health, but it does last a very long time. So if you did have a weaker sword, it's most likely you would be stuck in this trap. If you're curious about how this trap would actually work out, check out my trap where it's impossible to escape from the inside no matter what you have on you. Finally we killed it. Wow, it took a long time. So I went ahead and added in some trap doors so that the player can't even get close to the glass, and I put some water. Let's see if the fire aspect actually no longer allows us to kill it, since it is sitting in water, so it does actually catch on fire. But it seems even with this, we're slowly are bringing the villager's health down, so we would eventually kill it, unless you had a weaker sword. I went ahead and added in a Elder Guardian, which is giving me Mining Fatigue 3. This actually slows down how fast the player can actually swing, meaning that you're less likely to do damage to the villager. With level 3, it does reduce your attack speed by 70%. But even with this, we are slowly, very slowly making a dent in the villager's health, and eventually it would die. Now if you were able to have like a witch constantly give you weakness, then you pretty much end up not doing hardly any damage to the villager, and about as fast as you could do damage, its regeneration will just regenerate it back. This would be a scary prison to find yourself stuck inside of, but infinite potion effects might be helpful for other things. Even by giving Vex the regeneration as well as resistance 3, they will still die, so you can't actually use this method to keep them alive. Now by giving a llama infinite regen as well as resistance 3. I was hoping to be able to have the llama have this resistance and regen so that we can actually put the llama inside of blocks. That way the player could ride it and do different things while having llama super compact with inside of maybe some redstone. You guys see my quadruple core oak tree farm. I actually have a llama inside of it, which I use to actually access the different trees to plant. But unfortunately you can see the llama does slowly die even with the regen and resistance. Regen and resistance would be useful for snow golems, especially like where I'm using them inside of my automatic mob head farm. We want to be like close enough to the creeper to make the creeper explode without actually dying. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out when I release that video. Ultimately, end up using a skeleton and killing it, but you could use a golem as kind of like a tower defense so it could push away mobs from your area. Now you could apply resistance as well as regen onto shulkers, and that way you could actually use them in different types of shulker shell farms where there is a chance for them to take damage, and that way they wouldn't eventually die. Now I have designed shulker shell farms that the shulker doesn't take damage, so it's not necessary, but you could design other types of potentially simpler shulker shell farms using this. Now if you did want to have a warden as like a pet, or maybe even use it like in a mini game and you didn't want to take damage, you could use resistance as well as regeneration. Since unlike withers, wardens don't actually regen on their own. Now, having regen as well as resistance on an iron golem would be really nice, as well as strength would help them a little bit, but the damage they do through their attack range kind of varies, and because of that they're not very consistent, so strength doesn't help them that much. But definitely nice to have infinite regen, so you could just have one of these guys constantly roaming your place, killing off all the annoying hostile mobs. You don't have to worry about ever like repairing them with iron. Well, fortunately in Java Edition, the strength effect isn't that overpowered, and it only applies to melee damage. So if we look at the top mobs that actually do the most melee damage, giving them strength will only mean that they do 3 more damage. So you could use like a warden to kill off different mobs. They are slow at finding mobs and attacking them. Piglin brutes could also do a lot of damage, but they only go after certain mobs like wither skeletons. Now things like vindicators and zoglins pretty much attack anything. So you could give like a zoglin infinite strength 1, but that's still not really enough to kill mobs fast enough compared to like in my witch farm where the zoglin will just push the witch off the edge and then it gets killed by max cramming. Normally, when a Johnny hits you, it does 9.5 hearts, so normally it can't like one hit you. But if we would give it strength, it can do 12 hearts, which is enough to one-hit players, as well as many other mobs. So if we had a witch farm using Johnnies, it could 2-hit the witches. And by giving the Johnny the infinite regen, we can constantly keep him regenerated. So even if a witch would happen to throw a damage potion at him, he could continue to regen and survive to kill more. In the past, we tried making farms that use Johnnies efficiently, but because they could take damage and wouldn't be able to regen, they weren't that useful. But now it could actually be quite useful. What other mobs do you think would be good with strength? Now you could also add infinite jump to stuff like goats or frogs. Goats can normally jump 10 blocks and frogs can normally jump 8, but with the jump effect it can increase the jump by 50% more. Now not all effects come from potions, so let's look at some other ones. In my original video, it didn't seem likely that this would work on short duration effects, but by looping the effect, we got it to work. So I was able to actually get the infinite wither. This command here kind of represents the player getting hit by a wither, getting the wither effect, which is normally for 10 seconds. And the wither also gives you level 2. And then this is a wither rose. The wither rose on the other hand only gives you the wither effect for 2 seconds. So the idea is you stand here, then you get hit by a wither skull, which will give you the wither 2. And then right as that vanishes, then you go in, you get wither 2 again. And then you continue to stand in the wither rose. Now when this one goes up, it's going to have the infinite, got it, infinite wither effect. Not that that's too nice to have as a player, but you could essentially do the same thing to a mob and even put it onto like a creeper and have it stored infinitely, along with regen resistance so it wouldn't die. So over here trying to get a haste, and Super Nate actually got the far beacon to give us the haste 2 and the closer beacon to give us haste 1. He actually got infinite haste doing this. So what happens is that the far away beacon is giving us a effect time that is 16, where the close one's doing 10, but it's constantly resetting. So we can actually get the same effect to occur. We gotta wait for the haste 2 to vanish. At the same time, we're on the opposite side of where the beacon is, because right now we're crossing the border. And when we're on this side, we're on the haste 2 side. When we're in the center, we're in the haste 1. And then we're on the wood side, we're on the no effect side. Oh, I just got it. Oh my goodness. So now if I let the other haste 2 run out, yeah, it goes back to infinite. We just got infinite haste in survival. That is insane. Now this effect we can't get onto like other mobs or anything because it's something that players only have. The haste effect will let you mine faster, but it's only level 1, so you can't like instant mine some types of blocks. And we cannot actually get haste 2 because the way the trick works is that you need a higher effect, and then when that one vanishes, you end up being stuck with the lower one, which is the haste in this case. Super Nick came up with an even easier way to get the infinite haste effect, as by using just 2 beacons. One of them beacons set to haste 1, and the other beacon set to haste 2. and by pulling away the blocks, you can stop the effects from continuing. Now with that method, there were still a lot of steps for turning on and off the beacons, so I went ahead and theorized a simpler way to do this. So we got a simplified version of how you can do this. So you want to start out with the stronger one and turn it on, and as soon as it's on, go ahead and turn it off. You can look at the beacon beam to know when it's on and off. Then once it hits 10 seconds, turn on this one. As soon as it turns on, turn it off, and then go ahead and turn this one back on. As soon as that one turns back on, turn it back off again. And then you just have to wait for this to count down. And just like that, you can get infinite haste, or for speed, resistance, jump boost, strength. So quite a lot of useful things with one system. Now, infinite bad omen might not be possible because of the way it stacks up. The more you kill, the more you get. But either way, when you do take bad omen that's infinite into a village, it takes all your bad omen away and starts a raid. So it wouldn't really be useful. I came up with a theory for easier way to get potions that have similar times but different strengths. So in this case, we're going to try to get Hero of the Village. We would first start out by getting ourselves a higher level Hero of the Village. Then just after that, we would get a lower level Hero of the Village. And then after that, we would get another higher level Hero of the Village. And because they're all the same time, the way they're going to stack, when this one ends, it's actually going to turn into a infinite version of Hero of the Village, which is actually quite useful because then you never have to repeatedly kill raids, and you can constantly get gifts from villagers like in my Hero of the Village raid farm. As just by getting gifts from villagers provides a plethora of different items that you normally can't get any other way without crafting. We're going to try the same trick but use it to get absorption. We're going to first start by eating the notch apple, which gives us a stronger absorption. Then we're going to come in and eat the weaker one, which should give us a weaker absorption that's hidden but is going to outlast the first one, so it's actually kept track of. Then we're going to come back and eat a stronger one. Absorption 4 is about up. Let's see if the other absorption kicks in. Yes! Yes, we actually got absorption that's infinite in survival. This isn't actually very helpful because absorption is kind of like the instant potion effects. Once you lose all your hearts, you don't actually get the hearts back again, even though you constantly are given absorption. So it's kind of more of just something for looks. So actually most effects can also be applied to a creeper and stored there. Go ahead and grab these effects. We can see these are actually all the different effects that we can get infinite as well as applied to creepers. Besides like normal potion ones, you can also get the wither one, and the effects are able to stay on the other creepers and they don't actually die from either the poisoning or the withering. So over the course of my testing stream, Slim Jim compiled the results into this lovely document. On the left hand side here, it shows which effects you can get as being infinite, with the red ones being ones you cannot get. This is mostly due to them not having two different types of strengths when it comes to these effects. This is essential for the glitch to work. But he went one step further, showing all the different ways you could potentially get these infinite effects, with different combination of different things, even including some niche scenarios that only occur in snapshots. I'll have this linked in the description along with all the other videos that I mentioned. So being that the trick works by first getting a stronger effect, then a weaker effect, and then ended off by getting a stronger effect, I want to see if it's possible to do this in like 1.19 and then upgrade your world while you have the negative effect in hopes to get the infinite one. And the way I did this is just by using some command blocks. So first we get one effect, then we hop over here and we're given two effects very shortly after each other. The idea being you could probably set this up in survival. You'd have to pause the game, then you have to leave the game at exact moment when your player reached negative effect duration. Right now we have a command blocks and a scoreboard on the right hand side that actually shows the difference between the two effects. But for testing reasons, we can just come in here with NBT Explore. We got to just change these duration effects. So we actually changed the weaker effect into negative, change the stronger one to 0. The idea is if you could get this in survival and then update to 1.20, you'd have that -1 effect giving you the infinite effects. So to show you what it could have possibly looked like, we're currently in the 05A snapshot. And if we load up our world where we have the negative effect, right as we log in, you can see that one duration was hit 0, the other one hit -1. And if we go ahead and let this continue, you'll see that we actually end up with the infinite effect. Now if we do the same thing, but in the 06A version, which is the next snapshot afterwards, in this snapshot it's actually fixed. And if we go ahead and try this, this would be equivalent to like loading it up in 1.20. If you hopped directly from 1.19 to 1.20 while having a -1 effect. You can see the duration just goes down even though it was negative, and the player isn't left with any effect. So not only is a trick where you could give yourself both potion effects and you'd get infinite has been fixed in this version, but also trying to smuggle over the negative effect from 1.19 into 1.20. The way it's handled is completely different, and both effects are removed when the main one reaches 0. So if you did want to use this trick, you'd have to update to 23W05A, then use it, then continue updating to 1.20. If you have any other ideas on how to smuggle this effect into like 1.20 or 1.19.4, let me know. I do these type of discoveries live on my Twitch stream. Thank you everyone who joins those and tries to help out, or if you just join in to goof about. If you want to learn about more crazy glitches, check out this playlist here, or this one on my series of designing automatic farm for everything. If you enjoy the effort I put into trying to discover new things, the best way you can support me is just share what I do with other Minecrafters. It doesn't cost you anything, and what else doesn't cost you anything is leaving a like and subscribing. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.